Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question. How many of you have ever gone through a painful breakup? How many of you have been told, just go no contact and they'll come crawling back? But let me tell you something. No contact alone is not enough. If you think ignoring him will magically make him regret losing you, you're missing the bigger picture. Because here's the truth. Absence alone doesn't create desire. Transformation does. No contact is the start, not the finish line. Yes, cutting off communication is powerful. It disrupts the usual pattern. It makes them wonder. But if you just sit around waiting, hoping they'll reach out, you're still mentally stuck in the same place. You need to use this time strategically. Rebuild your identity right now. Your biggest power move is not about them. It's about you. If they laughed, rejected, or took you for granted, it's because in their mind, they believed you were predictable, replaceable, or not valuable enough to fight for. That changes the moment you evolve. Start a new passion, skill, or fitness routine. Level up your mindset. Confidence is the ultimate game changer. Post about your growth, not your pain. Let them see you thriving, because guess what? When they check your social media, and they won't see heartbreak. They'll see a person they barely recognize. And that's what creates curiosity and regret. Emotional mastery. Stop reacting. Start leading. You cannot let emotions control you. If he reaches out and you respond with bitterness, anger, or desperation, guess what? You just confirmed he made the right choice. Instead, become emotionally unshakable. Imagine he texts you, and instead of you jumping to respond, you take your time. You keep it cool, short, and detached. That shift in energy alone makes him think, wait, what happened? Why is she different? The power of presence and absence. See, people feel lost not when you disappear, but when they realize your presence was rare. That means you don't just go silent. You become someone they can't replace. If you always chased, stop chasing. If you always responded immediately, let there be silence. If you always seemed needy, show independence. Because now you're reprogramming his perception of you. You are no longer the person who is waiting. You are the person who is glowing, growing, and unattainable. The law of value and scarcity creates demand. What do luxury brands do? They don't beg for customers. They position themselves as rare, as valuable, as exclusive. Your love, your time, your energy, that is your luxury. Stop giving it away for free. The moment he realizes he lost access to something valuable, that's when he feels it. Step 6, turn pain into power, the ultimate payback. Revenge is not getting them back. Revenge is becoming someone they can't even approach anymore. Get in the best shape of your life. Elevate your mindset, your career, your goals. Surround yourself with high-value people, because one day he'll look at you and realize he lost the best thing he ever had. And when he does, you'll be too busy living your best life to care. Final words become unforgettable. No contact is a tool, but transformation is the weapon. Use it wisely, because at the end of the day, the real goal isn't making him feel regret. It's making yourself so powerful, so radiant, so unshakable that you never look back. Now go out there and level up, because your greatest comeback starts now. Who's ready to rise? Let's go. No contact is one of the most well-known strategies after a breakup. You've probably heard people say, just cut him off and he'll come back. The idea is that when you remove yourself from someone's life, they will suddenly start to miss you, question their decisions, and ultimately regret losing you. But let's be real. If it were that simple, everyone would be getting back together with their exes just by ignoring them. The truth is, no contact is powerful, but only if you use it correctly. It is not a magic spell that forces someone to return. It is a tool, a starting point, and a strategy for something bigger. When a breakup happens, emotions are high. You feel hurt, betrayed, or even abandoned. And naturally, you want to react. You want the answers. You want closure. And most of all, you want them to feel the pain you're feeling. That's why so many people make the mistake of begging, chasing, or constantly reaching out. But all that does is reinforce the idea that the other person has power over you. If you act out of desperation, you give them validation. You confirm that they made the right choice in leaving or treating you poorly. They don't feel the loss because you haven't truly removed yourself from their world. This is why no contact is essential. It stops you from feeding the cycle and allows space for a shift in power. However, just cutting communication isn't enough. If you simply disappear without making any real changes in your life, then all you've done is create temporary silence. He might wonder about you for a moment, but if he looks at your life and sees that nothing has changed, the effect wears off. You don't feel a true sense of loss if he believes that at any moment he could still walk back into your life and everything would be the same. The real impact of no contact comes from what you do during that time. It's not about just sitting around hoping and waiting. It's about transformation. It's about using this period to become someone he no longer recognizes. Someone stronger, more confident, more fulfilled. Because when you truly evolve, when you step into your power, that's when he feels it. That's when the shift happens. Think about it this way. When someone breaks up with you, they have a mental image of who you are. That image is based on the past. The way you acted in a relationship, the things you tolerated, the way you responded emotionally. Maybe you were overly available, too forgiving, or even too emotionally dependent. Maybe you let certain behaviors slide, hoping he would change. And maybe when the breakup happened, you reacted in a way that reinforced this perception. Now imagine if he sees you 6 months later and you're an entirely different person. You're glowing. You're confident, you've built an incredible social life, started hitting the gym, developed new interests, and elevated your mindset. You no longer react the way you used to. You don't seem affected by his absence. That's when regret starts creeping in, because suddenly he's looking at someone he doesn't recognize. The person he left behind no longer exists, and that's a powerful thing. This is why no contact is only the first step. It creates the necessary space for transformation. Without that space, you're still trapped in the emotional chaos of the breakup. But with that space, you have the opportunity to rebuild yourself. Not for him, not for revenge, but for you. During this time, the focus needs to shift entirely to self-improvement. It's about developing emotional resilience so that you're not controlled by your past emotions. It's about regaining your personal power so that your worth is no longer attached to someone else's validation. And most importantly, it's about setting new standards for yourself so that you never find yourself in the same position again. One of the most important aspects of this process is breaking patterns. If your past relationships followed a cycle of giving too much, tolerating disrespect, or losing yourself in the connection, then this is the time to change that. It's time to redefine what you accept and what you don't. When you step into a higher version of yourself, you naturally attract better situations. And ironically, that's when he starts to feel your loss. Because he realizes you're no longer the person who would have waited, begged, or accepted less than you deserve. Another critical factor is understanding how human psychology works. People don't value what's easily available. They value what is rare, what is exclusive, and what they can't have. The more you pull away, the more mystery you create. But that mystery only works if there's an actual transformation taking place. If you truly change, evolve, and upgrade your life, that's when your absence becomes undeniable. That's when they start checking your social media, asking mutual friends about you, and wondering if they made a mistake. But here's the key. By the time they realize it, you won't even care. Because when you truly focus on yourself, on growth, on becoming the best version of yourself, their opinion becomes irrelevant. What once seemed like a devastating loss turns into the greatest opportunity for self-discovery. So yes, no contact is necessary. It's the first step in breaking the old dynamic. But if all you do is sit around hoping he'll miss you, you're missing the entire point. The real goal isn't just making him regret losing you, it's making yourself so powerful, so evolved, that you realize he was never the prize you were. Rebuilding your identity after a breakup is one of the most crucial yet overlooked aspects of personal transformation. When a relationship ends, many people find themselves lost, unsure of who they are outside of that connection. This happens because over time we unconsciously merge our identity with the relationship itself. The way we talk, the things we enjoy, and even our daily habits often revolve around the other person. So when that relationship is gone, it feels like a part of us is missing. This is why so many people struggle to move on, not because they can't live without their ex, but because they don't know who they are without them. The key to truly moving forward and making a lasting impact is shifting your focus from them to yourself. Instead Instead of obsessing over whether they miss you, whether they regret leaving, or whether they will ever come back, redirect that energy toward reconstructing your sense of self. This is the part where you take control of your narrative, redefine who you are, and build a life that is so fulfilling, so strong, and so unshakable that their presence or absence becomes insignificant. One of the most powerful ways to do this is by rediscovering the things that make you unique. Think about it. Before the relationship, you had hobbies, interests, and personal goals. You had dreams that had nothing to do with them. But over time, maybe you started sacrificing those things. Maybe you stopped doing the activities that made you feel alive because you were too busy prioritizing the relationship. Now is the time to reclaim all of that. What were the things that used to light you up? What were the passions that made you feel excited about life, whether it was art, music, fitness, travel, or something else entirely? Now is the time to dive back into those things. Another essential aspect of rebuilding your identity is breaking free from limiting beliefs. During a relationship, especially one that ended painfully, it's easy to develop a narrative about yourself that isn't even true. Maybe you started believing that you weren't enough, that you were too much, or that you weren't worthy of a healthy, loving connection. These beliefs don't just disappear after a breakup. They linger, shaping the way you see yourself and your future. If you don't actively work on shifting those beliefs, you carry them into every aspect of your life, keeping yourself stuck in a cycle of self-doubt. One of the best ways to challenge these beliefs is by proving them wrong through action. If you've convinced yourself that you're not capable of standing on your own, go out and do things that make you feel strong and independent. If you've believed that you're not interesting without your ex, go out and create new experiences, meet new people, and explore different environments. Confidence is not something you wait for. It's something you build through action. The more you push yourself outside of your comfort zone, the more you prove to yourself that you are capable, resilient, and worthy of an extraordinary life. Physical transformation can also play a significant role in redefining your identity. This isn't about seeking external validation or trying to make your ex jealous. It's about embodying the best version of yourself. And when you take care of your body, when you prioritize your health and fitness, you naturally start feeling more powerful. It's not just about looking better, it's about feeling stronger, more energetic, and more in control of your life. Something as simple as committing to a new workout routine, revamping your style, or making healthier choices can have a profound impact on the way you carry yourself. And the way you carry yourself affects how the world perceives you, including the people from your past. Beyond physical changes, upgrading your mindset is even more crucial. After a breakup, it's easy to fall into a victim mentality, blaming the other person, dwelling on what went wrong, and replaying the past over and over again. But this mindset keeps you stuck. The moment you shift from seeing yourself as a victim to seeing yourself as the creator of your life, everything changes. Instead of looking at the breakup as something that happened to you, start seeing it as something that happened for you. Maybe this experience was meant to wake you up, to push you toward growth, to teach you what you truly deserve. When you start viewing it from this perspective, it no longer feels like an ending, it feels like a new beginning. One of the most powerful ways to solidify your new identity is by surrounding yourself with people who elevate you. After a breakup, many people isolate themselves, but this only prolongs the healing process. Instead, seek out friendships, mentors, and communities that inspire you. Spend time with people who push you to be better, who encourage your growth, and who remind you of your worth. The people you surround yourself with shape your mindset, your habits, and ultimately your reality. If you want to become the best version of yourself, align yourself with individuals who reflect that energy. Social media can be a tool or a trap during this process. Many people make the mistake of using it to seek validation from their ex, posting things just to get a reaction or stalking their every move. This is a waste of energy. Instead, use social media as a way to document your growth, to inspire yourself and others, and to reinforce your new identity. Share your wins, your progress, and your evolution, not for them, but for you. When your focus is on building a life you're proud of, you won't need to manipulate anyone's perception of you. The transformation will speak for itself. Ultimately, the goal is to reach a point where you are so aligned with your own journey, so invested in your personal evolution, that whether or not they ever come back is irrelevant. You are no longer looking back, hoping for validation, because you have already validated yourself. You have already proven to yourself that you are whole, complete, and powerful on your own. And that kind of self-assurance is magnetic. Ironically, this is often the exact moment when an ex starts to take notice. Not because you tried to make them miss you, but because your energy has shifted. You are no longer the same person they walked away from. You have evolved, and in doing so, you've created an undeniable presence. Whether they come back or not is no longer the point, because by then you'll have outgrown the version of yourself that even wanted them back. This is what it means to rebuild your identity. It's not about revenge. It's not about proving anything to anyone else. It's about stepping into the highest version of yourself, claiming your power, and becoming someone who no longer settles for less than they deserve. When you do this, you don't just heal from the breakup, you transform your entire life, and that is the ultimate success. Emotional mastery is one of the most critical aspects of regaining your power after a breakup. The reason most people struggle to move on is not because they are incapable, but because they are still reacting emotionally to the situation. Every time you react from a place of pain, anger, or desperation, you reinforce the idea that the breakup controls you. You allow your emotions to dictate your actions instead of using them to fuel your growth. Mastering your emotions doesn't mean suppressing them. It means learning to manage them in a way that serves you rather than weakens you. In the early stages of no contact, emotions tend to be at their peak. There's an internal battle between wanting to stay strong and wanting to reach out. This is where emotional discipline becomes crucial. If you give in to the urge to text, call, or stalk their social media, you immediately shift the power dynamic back in their favor. Every time you react impulsively, you tell yourself and them that they still have control over your emotional state. But when you take a step back and respond differently, when you show restraint, when you maintain your dignity, when you focus on yourself instead of them, that's when true change happens. Emotional mastery is about recognizing that your feelings are temporary, but your actions have long-term consequences. You might feel the need to prove something, to seek validation, or to get closure, but acting on these emotions only traps you in a cycle of dependency. The moment you realize that you don't need external validation to feel worthy, everything shifts. You begin to reclaim control over your life, your choices, and most importantly, your future. One of the most powerful ways to develop emotional mastery is through self-awareness. Every time you feel triggered, instead of reacting, pause and ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? What is this emotion trying to teach me? Most of the time, our emotional reactions are rooted in deeper fears. Fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough. But when you can identify the root cause of these emotions, you begin to understand that they are not facts. They are just conditioned responses. And once you recognize that, you can begin to rewire your mindset. A major part of emotional mastery is learning the difference between reaction and response. A reaction is impulsive. It's driven by emotion without thought or strategy. It's texting in the middle of the night because you're feeling lonely. It's posting something dramatic on social media to get their attention. It's allowing anger or sadness to dictate your behavior. A response, on the other hand, is calculated. It's intentional. It's choosing to walk away with grace instead of begging for an explanation. It's maintaining your silence when they expect you to react. It's showing up as the strongest version of yourself, regardless of the situation. People are drawn to those who are in control of their emotions. Think about the most confident, successful individuals you know. They don't allow external circumstances to shake them. They don't let other people's actions dictate their sense of self-worth. Instead, they maintain their composure, their focus, and their power. This is what emotional mastery looks like, and this is what makes you truly unforgettable. When your ex sees that you are no longer reacting the way they expect, they will start to wonder what changed. They will start to question whether they ever really knew you at all. And this is when the shift happens. When you stop chasing, when you stop giving them the emotional responses they are used to, they start to feel your absence on a deeper level. They start to realize that you are no longer accessible in the way you once were. This is when curiosity turns into regret. But the goal is not to manipulate them into missing you. The goal is to become so emotionally strong that their opinion no longer affects you. True emotional mastery is about reaching a place where their actions, their words, and their choices no longer determine your happiness. It's about finding fulfillment within yourself so that no matter what happens, you remain in control. This process takes time, but every moment of self-discipline is worth it. Every time you resist the urge to react, you strengthen your emotional muscles. Every time you choose personal growth over emotional turmoil, you prove to yourself that you are bigger than your circumstances. And eventually you will reach a point where you look back and realize that the breakup was not a loss, it was a gift that pushed you to become the strongest, most resilient version of yourself. And that is a power no one can take away from you. One of the biggest mistakes people make after a breakup is waiting for time to heal them. They assume that if they just stay silent, avoid their ex, and let the days pass, the pain will eventually disappear. But healing doesn't happen through waiting. It happens through action. Transformation is a deliberate process. If you want to truly move on, regain your power, and even make your ex feel your absence in the deepest way possible, you have to become intentional about your healing and growth. That means actively working on yourself, creating new experiences, and shifting your mindset from one of loss to one of opportunity. A breakup is not just an ending, it's a reset. It's an invitation to redefine your life, your values, and your vision for the future. The problem is that most people don't see it this way. They get stuck in the past, replaying memories, questioning what went wrong, and hoping for reconciliation. They attach their happiness to the possibility of getting back together rather than focusing on what they can control, their own personal evolution. The people who truly move forward and become the strongest version of themselves are those who see a breakup as a catalyst for transformation rather than a reason to suffer. The first step in this process is reclaiming your independence. During a relationship, especially one that was intense or long-term, it's easy to lose parts of yourself. And you start making decisions based on us instead of me. Your routines, your habits, and even your goals often revolve around the relationship, so when it ends, it can feel like you don't know how to function without it. But the truth is, you were an individual before the relationship, and you are still an individual now. The key is to reconnect with yourself on a deep level. What do you love? What excites you? What goals did you put on hold because you were too focused on the relationship? Now's the time to reclaim all of that. One of the most powerful ways to do this is by stepping out of your comfort zone. Growth never happens in familiar places. If you want to transform, you have to challenge yourself in ways you never have before. That could mean traveling to a new destination alone, picking up a new skill, changing your daily routine, or setting ambitious personal goals. The more you push yourself to grow, the more you prove to yourself that you don't need the relationship to feel whole. And ironically, this is when people start to notice the change in you, when they see that you are thriving, not suffering. Another critical part of this process is breaking emotional attachments. This doesn't mean forgetting the relationship or pretending it didn't happen. It means detaching your identity from it. Many people unknowingly stay emotionally tied to their ex, even when there's no contact. They check their social media, keep old messages, hold on to gifts, and constantly think about what their ex might be doing. This keeps them in an emotional prison, unable to truly move forward. The moment you decide to release these attachments, you create space for new energy, new opportunities, and new perspectives. One of the best ways to do this is by shifting your environment. Your surroundings have a direct impact on your emotions and mindset. If your space is filled with reminders of the relationship, it will be harder to break free mentally. Make small but meaningful changes. Rearrange your room, get rid of things that trigger old memories, create a new morning routine, or start going to different places. These changes, though seemingly small, signal to your subconscious that you are entering a new chapter. Physical movement is also a key factor in emotional healing. There's a reason why exercise is often recommended for mental health. When you move your body, you change your state. You release tension, increase confidence, and create a sense of progress. Whether it's hitting the gym, running, yoga, or even dance, movement has the power to shift your emotions faster than anything else. It's not just about looking better, it's about feeling stronger from the inside out. In addition to physical and emotional shifts, upgrading your social circle can accelerate your transformation. The people you surround yourself with influence your mindset, your energy, and even your self-worth. If you spend time with people who encourage your growth, who challenge you, and who bring positivity into your life, your healing process speeds up. On the other hand, if you stay around people who constantly bring up your ex, fuel your sadness, or keep you stuck in the past, you will struggle to move forward. Seek out environments and relationships that push you toward the future rather than pulling you back into the past. The ultimate goal of this transformation is to reach a place where you are no longer looking backward. True healing happens when you stop focusing on what was and start focusing on what's possible. When you wake up excited about your own life, when you set new goals and chase new dreams, when you realize that your happiness was never dependent on another person, that's when you become truly free. And here's the paradox. When you reach this point, it's often when your ex starts noticing the change in you, when they see that you have completely detached, that you are no longer affected by their absence, and that your life has only improved since they left, it forces them to question everything. People always feel the loss more when they see that you have not only moved on, but elevated beyond what they ever expected. But by the time they realize it, you will no longer care. Because the real victory is not making them miss you. The real victory is becoming someone so powerful, so fulfilled, and so confident that you no longer need their validation. You have become the best version of yourself, not for them, but for you. And that is the greatest transformation of all. Your energy is one of the most powerful forces you have, and it plays a huge role in how people perceive and feel about you, even from a distance. Most people don't realize that attraction, connection, and even regret are deeply influenced by energy, not just words or actions. After a breakup, the energy you put out into the world determines whether your ex feels your absence or not. If you remain stuck in sadness, neediness, or longing, that energy is felt, even if there's no direct communication. On the other hand, if you shift into an energy of confidence, growth, and abundance, that change is just as noticeable, even if you never say a word. One of the biggest misconceptions people have is that making someone miss them is about strategy. Posting on social media, pretending to be happy, or playing mind games. But those tactics don't work if the energy behind them is still rooted in pain. If you post a picture trying to look like you're having fun, but deep down, you're still hurting, that energy is felt. People are more intuitive than they realize. Your ex doesn't need to hear from you to sense whether you've truly moved on or if you're still emotionally tied to them. This is why focusing on your internal energy shift is far more powerful than any external tactic. Instead of trying to make them feel your absence, the real power comes from becoming so fulfilled in your own life that your presence, even from a distance, carries a different weight. This happens when you start radiating confidence, self-worth, and purpose. When you no longer seek validation from them or anyone else, your energy shifts from lack to abundance, and abundance is magnetic. One of the best ways to create this shift is by changing your focus. Most people, after a breakup, obsess over what they lost. They replay old memories, wonder what their ex is thinking, and analyze every possible way to get them back, but this keeps them stuck in a state of emotional attachment. The moment you redirect that focus toward your own goals, passions, and self-improvement, your energy starts to change. You start building a life that is exciting, independent, and fulfilling, and that energy naturally draws people toward you. Another key factor is gratitude. It may seem counterintuitive, but being grateful for the lessons of the relationship and the breakup itself shifts your energy from resentment to empowerment. Instead of seeing the breakup as a loss, see it as an opportunity. Every challenge holds the potential for transformation. When you start appreciating your growth, your resilience, and the new doors opening in your life, you become someone who radiates strength, and that kind of energy is impossible to ignore. Ultimately, the most powerful way to make someone feel your absence is not through words or actions, but through the undeniable shift in your presence. When you elevate your energy, you don't have to force anyone to notice. They will feel it without you even trying. The ultimate goal after a breakup should never be to just make your ex feel your absence. It should be to build such a powerful, fulfilling, and purpose-driven life that you no longer care whether they feel it or not. True detachment is not about playing games or using psychological tactics to manipulate someone's emotions. It's about reaching a level of self-fulfillment where their presence or absence no longer determines your happiness. The moment you achieve this, the dynamic shifts completely. People can sense when you are emotionally free, and that is when they start to feel your absence in the most profound way. Most people unknowingly remain emotionally tethered to their past relationship. Even if they are in no contact, they are still mentally and emotionally tied to their ex. They still check their social media, wonder what they're doing, or fantasize about reconciliation. This kind of attachment keeps them stuck. It prevents them from fully stepping into their power and creating a life that is truly independent. If you want to reclaim your strength, you must learn the art of detachment, not as a strategy to get them back, but as a means to find your own inner peace. Detachment does not mean you stop caring about people or relationships. It means you stop allowing them to control your emotional state. It means understanding that no one outside of you is responsible for your happiness. Many people enter relationships with the subconscious belief that their partner completes them, that their happiness depends on that person's love and attention. But this is where the problem begins. Anytime you rely on someone else for emotional security, you give away your power. The healthiest, most magnetic individuals are those who are completely secure within themselves. They don't chase, they don't beg, and they don't need validation from others to feel whole. The way to reach this level of detachment is by redefining your purpose. Instead of making your ex the focal point of your thoughts and emotions, shift your energy towards something bigger than the relationship. What is your mission? What excites you? What impact do you want to have on the world? When you have a strong sense of purpose, you you stop seeking external approval because you are too busy building a life that inspires you. And when this happens, your energy shifts completely. You radiate confidence, ambition, and self-worth, and this is when people start noticing you in a different way. One of the biggest indicators of true detachment is the ability to let go without resentment. Many people think they have moved on, but deep down, they are still holding on to anger, blame, or disappointment. They might say they don't care, but if the opportunity presented itself, they would still want their ex to regret leaving them. This is not true detachment. This is emotional entanglement disguised as strength. Real detachment happens when you release all expectations, all resentment, and all need for closure. It's when you genuinely wish the best for them, not because you want to appear strong, but because you are so at peace with yourself that their actions no longer impact your emotional state. A powerful practice to help with this process is radical acceptance. Accept that the relationship ended for a reason. Accept that people grow, change, and sometimes outgrow each other. Accept that your happiness was never meant to be dependent on one person. The more you resist reality, the more you suffer. But when you embrace what is and stop wishing for things to be different, you free yourself from emotional pain. True detachment also means setting higher standards for yourself. When you truly know your worth, you no longer settle for anything less than you deserve. Many people struggle to let go of an ex because they believe they won't find anyone better. They attach their self-worth to the relationship and convince themselves that their ex was the best they could ever have. But this is an illusion created by fear. The truth is, when you grow, when you evolve, and when you elevate your life, you attract people who match that new level. You stop looking backward because you are too busy creating something better ahead. When you reach this level of emotional freedom, something interesting happens. The person who once took you for granted starts to feel your absence in a way they never expected, not because you played games, not because you tried to manipulate them into missing you, but because your energy has completely shifted. They see you thriving, they see you unbothered, and they realize that you have moved on to something greater. And ironically, this is often when they start reaching out, when they start questioning their decision. But by then, it won't matter, because the version of you that emerges from this transformation will be too strong, too fulfilled, and too focused on your own journey to care. This is the ultimate power, becoming so completely in love with your own life that you no longer need external validation. True detachment is not just about making someone miss you. It's about making yourself so strong that it no longer matters whether they do or not. And when you reach this level, you win, not by getting them back, but by becoming the best, most empowered version of yourself. The real victory after a breakup isn't about making your ex miss you. It's about becoming someone so strong, so fulfilled, and so deeply in love with your own life that their absence no longer affects you. It's about reclaiming your power, mastering your emotions, and shifting your energy from lack to abundance. The moment you stop seeking validation, stop reacting emotionally, and start living with purpose, everything changes. You no longer chase, you attract. You no longer dwell in the past. You create an extraordinary future. And ironically, that's when people feel your absence the most, when they realize that you have outgrown the person they once knew. But by then it won't matter, because the strongest version of you isn't waiting, isn't hoping and isn't looking back. The strongest version of you is focused forward, building, evolving, and thriving. That is the ultimate power. That is the real transformation. And that is how you truly win. Not by making someone regret losing you, but by becoming someone they could never get back in the first place.